Hello, I'm Tim Simcoe.
I'm Xia Li.
This is our paper, Competing or Complementary Labels, Estimating Spillovers in Chinese Green Building Certification. Certification is a tool used in many industries to solve information problems. In fact, it is so common that many industries have multiple voluntary certification programs.
For instance, financial industry has multiple rating agencies, and they all grade many of the same firms. Also, there are usually different eco-labels for similar products. For sustainable forest management, there are FSC, which is an international label, PEFC, based in Europe, SFI, a Canadian-based standard, and there are at least 14 other similar eco-labels worldwide.
This proliferation of labels leads us to ask whether similar labels serving the same markets are substitutes or complements, or perhaps both. Because many previous studies have already considered competition between substitute labels, we begin our research by developing some general propositions about how, when, and why competing labels might actually be complements. And then we study these ideas in the context of green building certification in China.
The empirical setting is important for a couple of reasons. Economically, China has the largest building markets in the world, making up 20% of all construction investment globally. Environmentally, China accounted for 24% of global energy consumption in 2018. Building sector accounts for 1/3 of total Chinese energy use and a very important source of carbon emissions. There are two main green building standards in China, a government-led program called GBEL and an industry-led self-regulatory certification, LEED.
The main goal of our analysis is to estimate a causal effect of GBEL adoption on LEED adoption in the same city, using city-state incentives for GBEL adoption as instrumental variables.
We start by providing a conceptual framework emphasizing 3 channels that could generate positive spillovers between labels. They correspond to 3 types of stakeholders: suppliers, adopters, and users.
Then we estimate our main econometric models. In the reduced form, these models estimate the impact of local subsidies for GBEL adoption on the rate of LEED adoption. Then we use the subsidies as an instrument for local GBEL adoption to estimate the spillover from GBEL to LEED.
The idea behind our empirical strategy is that local subsidies for GBEL impact LEED adoption only through the spillover channels described above. As this chart shows, adoption of GBEL increased sharply after subsidies were introduced, but we found little or no evidence of greater GBEL certification in cities that adopted subsidies before they were put in place.
Our main results imply a substantial positive spillover from GBEL to LEED, with an elasticity of around 0.2. That means that doubling GBEL adoption in a city produces a 20% increase in LEED adoption in the same city.
We also find evidence that these spillover operates through the supplier and user channels, but we find little evidence of adopter-level spillovers. In particular, very few buildings adopt both LEED and GBEL certifications at the same time. The results suggest LEED and GBEL may be substitutes at the building level, but complements at the city level.
If Xia is right that LEED and GBEL are both complements and substitutes, we expect these positive spillover effects to be stronger early in the diffusion of green building certification generally, when both labels can gain some market share relative to the alternative of not adopting any label. As the market matures, however, the scope for supplier and user spillovers may diminish relative to the competitive effects that were emphasized in prior literature.
In the paper, we discuss some implications of our findings for regulators, managers of certification programs like GBEL and LEED, and firms that certify their products. We hope you all enjoy reading the paper. Thank you.